Just 3 days left now until the vice presidential debate, and already Tim Kaine and Mike Pence are gearing up for this big fight. Both will have the tough task of defending the presidential candidates. Let's bring in now Betsy McCoy, former lieutenant governor of New York and Donald Trump supporter. And we have A. Scott Bolden, former chairman of the Washington, D.C. Democratic Party and a Hillary Clinton supporter. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning. Nice to be with you, Victor.
Nice to have both of you. Lieutenant Governor, I want to start with you. And inexplicably, immigration really didn't come up in the first debate, but I'm pretty sure it's going to come up in the second one. Let's listen to what Donald Trump has said over the last year about his policy dealing with the 11 million here who have not committed additional crimes. Watch.
Now, what about the law-abiding majority? That's
now you have people that came in illegally,
yes,
and they're called illegal immigrants, and they're here illegally. They're going to have to go, and they're going to have to come back in legally.
So if you haven't committed a crime, and you've been here for 15 years, and you have a family here, you have a job here, will you be deported?
We're going to see what happens once we strengthen up our border.
For those here illegally today who are seeking legal status, they will have one route and one route only: to return home and apply for re-entry like everybody else.
A lot of Republican plans have talked about letting people have a legal status, just being able to live here, work here. The people who lived here for a long time and contribute to society.
We're going to make that. We're going to make that decision into the future.
So Mike Pence has been on the ticket for half months now. Some of the most contentious moments in interviews have been after his claims of Donald Trump being consistent on this issue. He's going to have to come up with a clearer answer than just consistency. It shows that there has been a shift here in his policy, has it not?
Well, it appears as if when Donald Trump is asked for the specifics, he has talked with members of Congress, he has talked with advocacy groups, and he's trying to bring out all the nuances of this. But let's make it clear. Donald Trump stands for the rule of law. He respects the immigrants who came here legally, who played by the rules, who waited their turn. There are two candidates in this race. One believes in the rule of law, and the other epitomizes lawlessness. She even destroyed the records of her own time as Secretary of State. She has disregarded the law, and she seems to think that that's the way Americans want to be. But in fact, most Americans believe, let's all play by the rules.
Okay, but let me put the question to you, Scott, now. The same question I asked the Lieutenant Governor, that he's going to have to come up, Mike Pence, with a clearer answer than Donald Trump has been consistent here, because we just played how Donald Trump has not been consistent here.
Well, he certainly hasn't been consistent. Over the course of the last couple of months, he's been all over the place. Is it 11 million that get deported? Is it 5 or 6 million? And look at his 11-point plan. Number 8 or 9, I'm sorry, his 10-point plan. Number 8 or 9 says he's going to not only make it more difficult for them to come back, because he'll make it more difficult for them to get jobs. And then look at the next point on his immigration plan. And this is important. He says he's going to put policies in place to return immigration to historical norms. Historical norms, when America was not as brown as it is today, our historical norms are of Northern European descent, and that's written in his written plan. Now, having said that, Pence has to defend not only the inconsistencies, but he's also got to defend that 10-point plan of his, and it's indefensible because it's not clear whether it can even be implemented, because you've got to go to Congress. So
let me just respond to this very quickly, Victor. This is not about race and ethnicity. Donald Trump has said
about that.
No,
hold on. It's exactly about that.
Hold on, Scott.
Let me finish. It is not about race and ethnicity. Donald Trump and most Americans believe everyone should be welcome in who comes legally, and we should give preference to people who come with skills, with the ability to support their families, with education. That's the way Canada and most other countries do it.
But you have 11 million immigrants here, illegal or otherwise.
I was responding.
Hold on for a second. Hold on for a second.
Practically speaking,
I want to get to another point here. Hold on, Scott. We've got to get to another point here, and I want to talk about the matters of race and the matters of ethnicity that have come up in this campaign. Let's play just the Tim Kaine bite when he talked about David Duke values and KKK values. Watch this.
Yesterday, Hillary Clinton gave a speech in Reno, Nevada, calling out Donald Trump on a lot of things on this equality idea. calling him out on the fact that he has supporters like David Duke connected with the Ku Klux Klan who are going around and saying Donald Trump is their candidate because Donald Trump is pushing their values. Ku Klux Klan values, David Duke values, Donald Trump values are not American values.
There are some.
You know, I went back, Scott, and watched Tim Kaine's debate with George Allen for his Senate seat. And George Allen infamously used a racial epithet while he was out on the campaign trail. When it came time to talk about it in the debate, Kaine shifted and talked about something else. Do you expect we'll hear him on Tuesday night bring up this David Duke values, this KKK values line?
Well, I think it's going to be part of the debate. Whether he'll bring it up or not, that just depends on the circumstances because he's a skilled debater. Let me just say this. It won't be surprising, though, because 60% of Americans believe that Donald Trump peddles in racism, bigotry, and xenophobia, as well as sexism. That's a fact. That's baked into the numbers. And it's driven by Donald Trump's own words, his own affiliations with white nationalist movements, and the Ku Klux Klan and others.
I got to give the Lieutenant Governor just 15 seconds to respond.
He has no affiliations with those groups. And let me point this out. This is just dirty politics. It's an effort by the Clinton team to distract voters from what voters themselves say is the main issue, the economy. Donald Trump has a plan to bring jobs back to this country, to give everyone in America a hefty tax break. Hillary Clinton is going to raise their taxes. So, of course, Clinton wants to divert it with these unsubstantiated and absolutely false charges of racism. She is the divisive
Lieutenant Governor Scott Bolden, I thank you both. But I just ask here, if we're talking about diversions, Donald Trump for the last 24 to 36 hours has not been talking about the economy, has not been talking about jobs. He's been talking a lot about Alicia Machado. And we'll be having that conversation as the show goes on. Thank you both. And be sure to watch the vice presidential debate on Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern right here.